Jeremiah chapter 6. Jeremiah chapter 6. And we've got enemies set against Judah, and the enemies encourage themselves, and God directs the siege. Okay? God was in on the siege of Jerusalem, and and he approved of it, and he led the Babylonian, or the Chaldeans, if you will, of the empire of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar and his crowd. He led them and directed their siege. So we start chapter 6. O ye children of Benjamin. Okay. Now he's talking about the children of Benjamin. Remember, what we have left of the 12 tribes of Israel at this time are Judah and Benjamin. The north, the other 10 tribes, they were all taken captive by the Assyrian Empire, the empire before Babylon. And all these rulers, they like to build empires, and that's what we've got a couple of rulers here in the world today who want to build empires. They want to be number one. Okay, and that's so the Assyrians were number one for a while. The Babylonians were number one for a while. The Persians were number one for a while. And the Persians are still wanting to be number one for a while. Okay. So, ye children of Benjamin, gather yourselves to flee out of the midst of Jerusalem. Now, actually, Jerusalem does sit, in the territory of Benjamin. Okay, so Jeremiah is warning the children of Benjamin and the citizens of Jerusalem, get out of town. Okay, and gather yourselves to flee out of the midst of Jerusalem, and blow the trumpet in Tekoa. Okay. Blow the trumpet, sound the warning, sound the alarm, get the alarm bells going off, sound the alarm, sound the trumpet. And now Tekoa it was the last town, if you will, in Judea. So it was at the last town heading south out of Judea, before you got to the desert. Okay, and it was about 11 miles south of Jerusalem. So that's if you're going to flee and you need to get out of town, that would be a good place to go, because it's you can do it in a day. Okay, and for the reason, main reason, is because the enemy, the Babylonians, are going to come from the north. So they say, head south, and the south shall rise again. Oh. Blow the trumpet and set up a sign of fire, okay, in Beth Hacerem, Beth Hacherem, maybe.
Yep.
Beth Hacherem, that's close. And that one is about halfway between Jerusalem and Tekoa. Okay? So the word Beth Hacherem means the vineyard house, and again halfway. So set up the signal fire. Get a signal fire going. Again, signaling that it's time to flee. And we've seen all the movie. Let's see, what are the Hobbit movies where they've got the signal fires that, they light around in a lot of the other movies we've got out today, apocalypse movies. They've got signal fires around, and they light them and warn the citizens. So, set up a fire, for evil appeareth out of the north, and great destruction. Okay? And Jeremiah spends pretty much his whole prophesying life preaching about God's judgment and the great destruction, okay, that is going to happen. And now we come down to verse 2. Kind of an interesting verse to set right here in the middle of great destruction. Okay? But this is, something that God has already done. I have likened the daughter of Zion, or the children of Israel. I have compared them to a comely and delicate woman. Comely is beautiful. Okay? And in this case, probably a really gorgeous, delicate woman, not a woman who is out in the fields, planting crops or plowing the fields or anything like that, but well, somebody like one of the king's wives. They've got plenty of makeup. They're gorgeous. They're beautiful. Okay? I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman. Okay? So we've got great destruction. We've got a comely and delicate woman. And come down to verse 3. The shepherds with their flocks shall come unto her. Now, okay, in verse 3, who do you suppose we're talking about? Are we talking about shepherds of Israel? No, because verse 1 is the evil appeareth out of the north and great destruction. He's saying, okay, the Babylonian shepherds. Remember, we've got an army coming, a huge army, the Babylonian army. Okay, now logistics of moving an army. You need food, you need water, and a lot of times in those days, in a lot of the great battles, they would bring along their wives. They would, it's a big production. It's huge, like what they had to do D-Day, World War II D-Day. I mean, supplies. You got to have a supply line coming in. Okay? So, we've got shepherds with their flocks shall come unto her, the daughter of Zion, or Jerusalem, the children of Israel. They're going to come to supply the army, okay, with food. And now, one thing about Israel in those days, as it is today, it's a very productive land as far as crops. Israel feeds a lot of people. There are a lot of people in that region that Israel feeds, but these people that Israel is feeding hate Israel. And recent events, the Ukraine, it was and probably will be again one of the big wheat producers in the region over there. And guess who? A supposed emperor who wants to set up an empire, or reset up the old Soviet Union is what he wants. Yep. Our friend Vladimir, okay, he's out there destroying the flocks. Destroying, that food production region. and all, and if he gets in there, and takes back the Ukraine, you know, he's going to have to spend zillions of dollars to rebuild the place. Okay, and that works out well because remember, all of the zillions of dollars that the Soviet Union had to shell out to during the Cold War, and trying to beat us in the Cold War, right? And they were unsuccessful. Anyway, get into politics here. Anyway, the shepherds with their flocks shall come unto her, unto Jerusalem, unto this city of the daughter of Zion. They shall pitch their tents against her round about. Now, when this is, my Bible has 612 BC. This is about 7 years before Sennacherib, Nebuchadnezzar's general, comes down for the first time. He comes down in 605 BC. So it says 612 BC, and of course there's always a question mark there. But in 605 BC is when Nebuchadnezzar sends him down the first time to attack Egypt, and Jerusalem is in the way. But anyway, this is talking about probably the second time, a couple of years later, that Nebuchadnezzar's army comes down to destroy Jerusalem. So and he spends 2 years with a siege around Jerusalem. They surround the city. They cut off all, you can't go out, you can't come in. And if it weren't for Hezekiah's tunnel, the city would be without water. But because of, King Hezekiah, a few years before, a bunch of years before, they have a water supply. But they shall pitch their tents against her round about. That's the siege. Okay? They shall feed everyone in his place. Okay? Here, when the army comes, they've got food there, and not only do sieging armies come in, they whatever they can get in the land, that's already there, they're going to be eating what the daughters of Zion, okay, have produced to feed themselves. Okay? They're going to be eating all of that. So Jerusalem is going to be starved out. So they shall feed everyone in his place. Prepare ye war against her. Now here, verse 4, okay, God is encouraging Nebuchadnezzar and his army, the sieging army, prepare ye war against the daughter of Zion. Get ready for war. Arise. Let us go up at noon. Okay. Now the idea here, the picture here is, in wartime in those days, in those days, okay, noon, we can compare noon like we've had here last month, okay, where it's 100 degrees by noon, or getting there by noon. The midday heat in that region is so great. They didn't have global warming back in those days. If the midday heat is so great there as to be usually passed under shelter, okay, they go into their air-conditioned tents. Air conditioning, you got the flap open and the wind blowing through. Just like my truck has 260 air conditioning, both windows rolled down at 60 miles an hour. So yeah, Yeah, yeah. Well, I am a couple of years younger than you, I think, aren't I? Either that or you're younger than me. I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, that joke's been around for a long time. You know, you remember the jokes you knew when you were, you know. Anyway, so you know, midday heat. So, you know, the army. Let us go up at noon. Okay. Now they would start. The armies would usually start their morning march. You know, start at right about sunrise or a little earlier. You know, get up early, and start their morning march. They would pause at noon, if you will, the hottest part of the day, take a rest, and the morning march was usually made. They didn't have breakfast. You know, they made fasting, and they usually had a some kind of anyway, this morning march was usually over by 8 or 9 o'clock. So if you're starting, 4 o'clock in the morning, so you've got 5-6 hours of marching that you could get done before noon by 8 or 9 o'clock. Okay, but they were, God, if you will, is encouraging them to be impatient. Their impatience of the Chaldeans, for the assault, they cry, we will make the assault at noon. We'll go at noon, despite the heat. We'll go attack the city at noon. Let us go up at noon. Woe unto us, for the day goeth away. We're in a hurry. God is encouraging them to. He's encouraging the Chaldean Babylonian army to get it done and over with. He's in a hurry. Remember, all this is because of Israel's sin. For the shadows of the evening are stretched out. It's getting close to night. When we had breakfast about noonish, or 8 or 9 thereabouts, and but now night's heading on. And we don't, we don't like to fight at night. Arise, but now, again, they're impatient. Verse 5, arise and let us go by night.
Can't seem to make up their mind.
They can't seem to make, the generals are saying, let's go with our usual routine, our usual battle routine. And that's what, one thing that the British in the Revolutionary War, the one thing that the redcoats marching, and the rebels were out there doing their guerrilla warfare, and taking them out one by one as they were marching along in their columns. But so. That's kind of the idea here. We've got all of these pictures of warfare. Okay, they're all carried down to today. A lot of the stuff they do today, and so arise, let us go up by night, and let us destroy her palaces. We're gonna destroy Jerusalem. We're going to destroy the temple. Okay, we're going to destroy King David and King Solomon's palace, which were, like I said, sitting right up against the walls of the temple, which is where God did not want them, but that's where they are. So now we've got army going, and let's go, and they're anxious to get going. Let us destroy her palaces. That's where we'll stop for this week.